Ty Brady here with Brady Insurance Marketing and the Ty Brady Way. As a successful entrepreneur myself, I'm passionate in helping other entrepreneurs do the same as they rise from rags to riches and get inspired each week on the stories they tell here at the Ty Brady Way. Welcome back to another episode of the Ty Brady Way. Today I have Clint Allred on the show. He was recommended by a previous gentleman on the show, but you know what? There's some similarities. He played high school lacrosse, as you know. He's listened to the show. My boys play lacrosse, but he's had a journey in his life, and we're going to get into that and talk a little about that. But Clint, so you know, Jake Lewis recommended you on the show, so thank you for being here. But he said that Jake said he coached you in lacrosse at high school, right?
Yep.
So where did you play and what position?
Yeah, so I grew up in Harriman. I played lacrosse all 3 years in Harriman High School.
Okay.
I played
My
defense.
neck of the woods.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. I played defense. Jake was a great coach. He's a really good guy, and I have a lot of respect for him. But yeah, played at Harriman. We ended up winning a state championship my senior year, which was super fun. So
who'd you play?
It was I can't even Grantsville. I think.
Grantsville.
Yeah. No, not Grantsville. I can't even remember, honestly.
I was going to say, usually it's Park City, Weber, some of those teams, right?
Yeah.
It'll come to you here in a minute.
Yeah, it'll come to me in a minute.
Yeah.
I can't remember off the top of my head. It's been a minute. So
you played defense?
Yep.
Were you point, right or left?
Everywhere.
You
everywhere.
do, yeah.
Yeah, we just got moved all over, so.
My boy that's, what is he, 3? He's 3'4". He's taken a liking to defense.
Yeah.
And usually what they'll do is they're like, lock down 26.
Yeah.
So they would switch, like, you get on 26, you lock him down and let everyone else has got to slide, right?
Yep,
so he's aggressive and he loves it.
Oh, I loved it. It was some of the best years of.
He loves hitting them.
Yeah, that's the fun part.
What people don't understand is lacrosse is a contact sport.
It is.
And I mean, they ever watch college lacrosse or people are like, "Oh, that was a bad hit." I'm like, "Dude, it's legal."
Yeah.
And I mean, the goalie comes out of the crease. I mean, I got some highlight videos where my smallest guy just trucks him.
Yeah.
Squares him.
That's what I loved about it. So it was a fun time.
I watched the YouTube. Maybe it's YouTube or Instagram where it says when a linebacker plays lacrosse, and you're like linebacker for football plays lacrosse.
I came from football, so I stopped playing football, then played lacrosse in high school, and it was a good time.
Did you ever play rec lacrosse?
I played like winter lacrosse.
Oh, okay.
Just a little bit, but nothing crazy.
But picked it up really big in high school.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
You know, I was telling you the kid. There's a kid that was your face-off kid that coaches my kid for face-off, and now he's playing at some college. But
yeah.
So you go through lacrosse through high school, but you know what I wanted to talk about today. Maybe you've had some challenges.
Yeah.
So some health challenges, and what was that like? And
yeah, so when I was in high school, it was just a couple days after my junior year of high school. I started, I had some wisdom teeth problems, started getting sick, and I didn't think anything of it. I started getting super winded on the lacrosse field. Didn't think anything of it, but who knows when you have something like that. But anyway, long story short, I ended up finding out that I had leukemia cancer at 17, just shortly after my junior year of high school ended. And so I went straight up to Primary Children's Hospital and started treatment, and then was good, finished my treatment, did some rounds of chemotherapy. And then about a year later, I found out that it had returned and relapsed, and it was back when I was 18.
Wow.
So I went through the same thing. I actually got a bone marrow transplant at that time. And then 5 years later, just before I hit my 5-year mark, just this past couple years, I found out that it had come back again and returned again. So,
oh my gosh,
2 bone marrow transplants, number of chemo rounds later, and here we are. So, just grateful to be here.
Do you check? Do they check it every year?
Yeah, so I always periodically go and get checked up. As you get further out, you go less and less. So.
Okay.
Right now I get checked. My last battle with it was 2022. So I go get checked every 3 months or so now, but as it gets further out, they move it further. So it'll be 6 months, and then it'll turn into a year, and then I just get checked every year at that point.
many of the audience may not know this, but I had a scare and they thought I had leukemia. So I had to go do a bone marrow tap to see if I had it. And, my doctor didn't use the word cancer. He used the word, you got to go see a disease specialist. I'm like, what the heck is that? I was losing a bunch of weight.
Yeah.
My platelet count was through the roof.
Yeah.
They would give me antibiotics and my platelet count would go down.
Mm-hmm.
And then as soon as the antibiotics ended, it would go back up.
Yeah.
And it was a little bit of a battle because my wife's like, is the doctor not doing his job? But they could only take it steps, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, hey, it isn't like you get diagnosed with something like that. It isn't like tomorrow they have a path for you, right?
Yeah.
It takes weeks, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, what the heck?
Uh-huh.
That's why people understand that. It's like, they're like, okay, what is it? And in fact, that bone marrow tap they did right here, it still hurts sometimes. It's like, you're like, what the heck?
It's not, I've had hundreds of those done before.
Your hips hurt?
Yeah.
You're like, what the? And you know what's from? The weather gets cold.
Yeah. I feel aged. Definitely feel aged. But it was crazy. So that's how they found out. And actually got my wisdom
doing the bone marrow tap, right?
Well, I got my wisdom teeth. It was actually my wisdom teeth. I got my wisdom teeth taken out and they weren't healing. I was having a lot of problems with that. Super, super sick, couldn't eat. I got a bad infection from my wisdom teeth that was moving up into my head and then down towards my heart. And they started to get really concerned with that. And then my doctor that did my wisdom teeth, he actually recommended that I go get my blood checked. And then that's how I found out. So we found out that day. And then I went straight up to the hospital from there and then was in the hospital for...
They knew it was leukemia that day or they knew that...
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So we went to Riverton Hospital, just right next to where I lived.
Yeah.
Went to my doctor's office. It was like 8:00 at night. He was the best doctor ever.
Yeah.
And we ended up going over there late. He told us, and then we went straight up to the hospital after that, and they had pretty much everything ready.
They knew you were coming.
For us. Yeah. Yeah.
Did they give you an immediate they put you on an IV with the leukemia or whatever the treatment?
They treated my infection from my wisdom teeth first because I was so sick with that. So they treated that first, and then probably my third or fourth day up at the hospital, that's when they actually started to get into the chemotherapy, explaining everything to us, and that's when I started my rounds of chemotherapy.
So when I found out, mine wasn't leukemia, it was C. diff, and I would actually go to the cancer doctor, and they put me on a regimen to get better. Mm-hmm. So the right antibiotics, they found out I was iron deficiency, so they gave me a concoction called root beer. Yeah. And they'd sit there, and I would sit there and talk to other cancer patients. Yeah, and it's kind of it's humbling.
It is.
It's very humbling. And this lady came in and she gave me a hand massage, and I was talking to her, and my wife was sitting there because I did it for, I don't know, every week for 8 weeks or something. Yeah. Because I was really sick. I was down to 133 pounds, and I didn't know this at the time. My wife and daughter were talking I don't know if Dad's gonna make it. Yeah. They just kept trying to find it, and finally they found it. Yeah. And, the right doctor, right people, and it's all timing.
Yeah, it gives you a whole different outlook on life. I've learned so much from each time it's happened. I've learned so much, and it's hard to look back on it, and there was a lot of challenges that came with it, but ultimately it taught me a lot, and I'm grateful for the lessons that I've learned through it.
Oh man, I couldn't imagine. Just a little scare I had. Yeah. Your heart sinks, and you're like, oh my gosh, 3 times though.
Yeah. So it's a weird thing to know. When you have cancer, I think you look at it and I think anybody that has had it or has dealt with it in the past, they look at it and kind of think you're always told of a relapse. You're once you get it the first time, your chances of it coming back are always higher than just the average person.
Sure.
So once it came back for the second time, I was like, okay, that was it. It came back. That was the relapse that they were talking about, the potential. Mm-hmm. But for it to come back a third time, it definitely took a toll on me. I was in a very...
I'm gonna ask you, that's my next thing. Mentally, how did you mentally, I don't know how'd you do it?
Yeah, I don't, at some points, I had no idea. At some points, it was unfortunate. The first 2 times that it happened, I knew okay, I can get through this. I can beat it. I was very confident in myself, and just to be able to hold on and give it everything I had and give it my best shot.
Yeah.
But the third time, I was not in a very good spot mentally. Before I even went in, I pretty much was counting myself out of it, which was a very bad thing to do. I actually listened to the book, The Power of One More by Ed Milet.
Yeah, I love that book.
Right before I went in.
Talks about his dad and wow.
Yeah, I actually have it on my wrist.
I was gonna, yes.
And a nurse of mine made me this when I was in the hospital, and I would always look at it and I'd be like, just one more day, like just keep going. It was probably the sickest that I had ever been this last time that it happened, because my regimen was a little bit different. I ended up getting like radiation and chemo. So it looked different, and it definitely took a big toll on me mentally. And then after I got done, I was also, just battling mentally with that. But it took a lot of like trying to see the big picture, not questioning, why. Like I try not to ask myself, why, because it can happen to anybody.
Sure.
But it definitely took a toll on me, and I'm just now starting to.
That was back in 22.
Yeah. I'm still, I still like, I look at life differently. I used to live in fear a lot after this had happened. I used to live my life kind of like monthly almost, because that's when my checkups would be. So I got into a very unhealthy habit of saying, like, I was so concerned that it was going to come back.
Yeah.
That I started to live my life based on what my doctors would tell me in my appointments. So I would have stuff planned, and then I'd be like, no, don't plan it until after my appointment, just to make sure that I'd be okay. That's how fearful I was, and it was very unhealthy. And to get out of that was very, very hard. And people around me saw it, and it was very hard. And it took a toll on my relationships. It took a toll on my life. And but I'm now just starting to get to that point where I'm starting to like kind of figure it out, be okay with it, and try to live just how I need to in order to be happy and live in the present. So
wow, dude, I am like chills and just humbled that you're even wanting to talk about it. I mean, now I know why Jake said you got to get him, on the show, because there's people listening that will gravitate and listen, knowing that, their problems are small compared to that. Very, very small. And I'm sure that people have bigger problems too, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
But going through that process and knowing that, you're like the fear and the mental, right? What would you tell somebody that may be going through just a trauma event in their life?
Yeah.
Maybe they lost a loved one, and that's what's holding them down.
Yeah.
What would you tell them?
I would say that it's going to get better. I would say that it's very hard to see in the moment, and it's hard for me to even look at that and see that sometimes. But I would say just to keep your head up. It's going to get better, and to not let it, like, don't dwell on it as much as it, like, as easy as it is.
Yeah.
Don't dwell on it, and try to look forward, try to see forward, and move towards that instead of staying in the past. Don't become a victim to it. Don't become, don't let it ruin your life.
I like that. Don't be a victim of the circumstance.
Exactly.
And let it control you.
Yeah. Because it's very easy. Yeah. It is very easy to become a victim of what you're going through, especially if it's something hard. And everybody has their hard. Like, my hard might look completely different to somebody else's hard, and they might feel it the same, Somebody might lose a loved one, and it might be just as hard as what I was going through. And I have no place to necessarily judge what's harder or what's not.
Yeah.
But just going through that alone and trying to see the end of it is always going to help you with anything.
I've done a couple of podcast shows on The Power of One More with Ed Milet. In fact, I gave a book giveaway for Ed Milet. Some of the things he's like, it's one more day.
Yeah.
It's one more this, it's one more call, and those all stack up.
Yeah, it does.
So you go from that, and now you're a successful real estate agent. Mm-hmm. I know I've seen some of your stuff on Instagram and the tours that you do. What made you get in that industry?
Yeah, so I right out of high school, I kind of was just trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I worked for a builder for a brief second.
Oh, okay.
And then I didn't love that side of it, but I always saw his realtor coming around, and I was like, that looks fun. I could do that. So when I was actually in the hospital my first time, I was just trying to I had a ton of time on my hands. So I tried to find something that I could do to make money. And I've always been kind of like that. Ever since I was little, I was always trying to find those businesses, trying to find my way, and
hustling, baby.
Hustling, yeah. I was always a hustler since I was just a little kid, and I started learning about real estate, more like the investing side of it, when I was actually in the hospital.
Okay.
And then I started working on my license in the hospital, and then when I got out, I got it and just hit the ground and started going when I was 19.
So I a question about the hospital. Do they keep you in there? Like you, when you have leukemia, you're there for how long?
Yeah, so I was there so they did rounds of chemo. So each round typically took about a month. And I did, the first time I did 4 of them. So I was in the hospital for like a total of 4.5, 5 months.
Wow. So I had no idea.
Yeah, so they would take me up there. They would keep me there for a month, and then I'd go home for about a week. I recover, let my body recover a little bit, and then I'd go back and do the next round. So yeah, each time I would do that. And then the last time that I did it, just a couple years ago, I was up there for about 3 months. Yeah. And then they just send you home. And
so you've been doing real estate for how long now?
It's been 6 years. This will be my 6th year doing it. So started when I was 19. Love it. It's super, it was a tough industry, especially when you're young. I looked young too. I mean, I definitely looked like I was younger than 19. And I used it kind of as a roadblock for a second, but as I started to get more out there and progress with it, it became very rewarding, and I'm super grateful for it, and I love it.
I remember a guy told me when I help people aging into Medicare, right? Mm-hmm. He's like, "You don't look old enough to be helping about Medicare." I said, "Give me 15 minutes."
Yeah.
And then he put a stopwatch on his table, and he says, and I did my presentation, just went through the motions, and he actually was the mayor of a community. And I sold him, and he's like, "You know what? The first time," he says he was 70 something.
Yeah.
And he says that for the first time I understand how Medicare works.
Yeah.
And I looked at his watch. I said, "My 15 minutes up. Can I stay?" He's like, "You're more than welcome to." And he said, "Continue."
Yeah.
Right. And then he referred me to all the city council members.
Yeah.
But I get that when you look a little younger. But
yeah.
So where do you see you going in the next 5 years with the real estate, or what do you see yourself doing?
Yeah. So I'm currently just a solo agent. I do my own production and my own stuff. I have a transaction coordinator that helps me, but in the next 5 years, I'm in the next couple of years, probably I'll start building out a team. I just want to have a small real estate team that we all do a good amount of volume in production, and then get into the investing side of it. I've already kind of dipped into that, but I want to heavily get into the investing side of real estate, just to have that aspect of it and that financial aspect of it as well. So that's kind of the 5-year plan. The big 5-year plan is just to get into the investing side of it a lot more than just the residential resale side of it.
Do you focus on residential homes, multifamily, commercial? I mean, what is your expertise, or what do you like to focus on?
I focus mainly on like residential.
Okay.
I have a lot of investors that I've worked with in the past, which has been fun. I kind of like that. I like the number side of it. I'm a very analytical person, and there's a lot of emotion in real estate.
Oh yeah.
And it's very hard to, like when I first started, it's very hard to pull away from that and figure out like, okay, your clients are going to be emotional. You can't be, I can't be. To an extent, right? You obviously are doing everything you can for them, but I like the investors and also kind of the commercial feel of it, to where it's not necessarily based on emotion. It's based on if the numbers make sense.
Numbers make sense.
So eventually I'll probably move more into like like I said, the investing side of it, commercial side of it. I think it'd be really fun. But right now I focus mainly on residential resale, new construction, and stuff like that.
Yeah. So you said you listen to Ed Mylett, right? Mm-hmm. Who's another mentor of yours?
I listen to a lot of Ed Mylett. Chris Williamson has been a big one that I also listen to as well. He's some of his podcasts and stuff that I've heard from him has helped me a lot. I have a couple people in my office that have completely helped my upbringing. I had a coach that I probably wouldn't be in real estate without her. And,
oh wow!
She was awesome and taught me a lot. And there's definitely, I didn't do it on my own. There's a lot of people out there that have helped me and pushed me, and kind of took me under their wing in order to help me succeed in this business, because it is a very, the first couple of years are always the hardest, and it takes a toll on you. But there's a lot of people that I have a lot of gratitude for that have helped me to get to where I'm at.
They were in your corner.
Yeah.
They were your champions.
Oh, for sure. 100%.
That you can do this. You got this.
Yeah. And there's, family, friends, tons of people. The support system that I have, I'm so grateful for. Just through all of it, the cancer, the business, everybody has always been super on my side, which I appreciate.
What a story, Clint. Thank you for sharing. Yeah. Any last thoughts you'd like to share with the audience? And then how they may get a hold of you? Is there a website? Is there, they connect with you on social media? Yeah. How would they do that?
You can get a hold of me on Instagram. Clint Allred _ is my personal Instagram, and then my business Instagram is the 801 Group.
Okay.
So that's my group, and that's my team that I'm gonna be building here shortly. But that's the best way to get a hold of me. And then I would just say, thank you for having me. It was really fun, and I would just say, like, one more day. Honestly, that's what I live by. That's always what I've tried to live by. For anybody that's going through something hard, just keep going, keep pushing. It does get better. The circumstances suck sometimes, but it definitely gets better. And it takes some time.
Yeah.
But over time, and as you grow yourself and kind of be with yourself and be comfortable with yourself, the growth that comes from that is exponential. So
the impact, I think, that you can help other people, and the relatability. My show has evolved where it used to be tips and tricks for insurance agents. Now it's interviewing other successful business owners, entrepreneurs, and hear their inspiring stories. Because everybody on this show has been through something hard. And everybody in life deals with something hard. But it's here on the show they're willing to share it. And a lot of times, whatever the hard was, propelled them to do something greater and bigger, to make a bigger impact, build that legacy.
When you look at people that have gone through a lot of stuff and have created a good life, it's almost never been easy. No. So I think we need those hard times, and we need those, we need those stoplights sometimes to be able to tell us and teach us in order to get to the next level. So.
Wow, what an inspiring story, Clint. And thank you for being willing to share it, because I know it will impact a lot of people.
For sure. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me.
They can connect with you on social media. As always, share, like, and subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Ty Brady Way. As always, share, like, and subscribe. Go to Instagram at ty.r.brady. And as always, love hearing from you. And let me know what you want to learn on the show or what you'd like me to bring up on the show. Thanks.
You can find the Ty Brady Way on Instagram as well as Facebook. To stay connected with giveaways and Ty himself, go ahead and follow at ty.r.brady on Instagram as well as Facebook. This podcast was recorded, edited, and produced by Whitney Faith Media Marketing. And the theme music is an excerpt from Hot Chicken of the Woods by Isaac Joel.